Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pathfinder Kingmaker Enhanced Edition with me, BringItDon. We have some quests to turn in before we head out. Svetlana greets you warmly. Good day to you. Do you need anything? I'd be happy to help. I found your ring, Svetlana. Kressel, the bandit woman who had it, tried to kill me and died in the fight. Svetlana sighs bitterly. I suppose I should tell you the truth about her. Kressel wasn't her real name. Her real name was Irena before all this. She was the daughter of my mother and her second husband, my half-sister. I can't help but feel like everything that happened to her was my fault. She always had a wildness to her. She'd wander the streets, hanging out with a bad crowd. Until the day she passed, Mother complained about Irena constantly. Back then, it was just cruel games and strange escapades. She never really hurt anyone back in Rostov. Her father didn't live much longer than our mother, so I decided to try and help Irena. I brought her here to the Stolen Lands, though Oleg was against it. And once here, she immediately fell under the Stag Lord's influence. She never even needed to meet him. The stories and rumors from local hunters and bandits were enough to win her over. She would tell us how he was a real leader, unlike Rostov's softies. Eventually, she ran away, only to return under a new name with a pack of thugs to collect taxes from us. What's worse, she participated in the torture and execution of prisoners alongside the Stag Lord's minions. And now, meeting such an end, you realize that you did what you had to do, or had to. Perhaps it's all for the best, but still, I wonder if everything could have turned out differently. Svetlana lifts her head. Thank you for returning my ring to me. I truly appreciate it. Now, if you don't mind, I think I'd like to be alone for a little while. Ooh, a bunch of rations. So, she doesn't sound like a good person. It's okay that she's dead. Alright, you want some potions? Sounds like he's a shady dealer on the side of the street. He opens up his trench coat. You want some potions? About those tasks of yours? Yes? Give Fang berries. Are these the berries you were looking for? Bakken impatiently grabs the basket from you, but his face falls after he examines the berries. Darn it all, these are the right berries, but they've soured. Would you be so kind as to gather some fresh ones for an old man? I'm so willing to repay you with those 3 potions I mentioned before. Oh, so they do spoil. I checked them earlier, they weren't spoiled. Oh, sweet pancakes. Let's take care of that. Oh, he may have taken them out of my inventory. Yeah, I checked them earlier and they weren't spoiled yet. I don't really need any of this. I might keep the torches for now, because I don't know what else has changed in the game. So I'm going to play it a little safe. Also, off camera, I did buy a bag of holding, as well as all the butter that Oleg had in his inventory. Alright, let's talk to Jhod.
How may I serve you?
Jhod nods warmly. I need the help of a cleric. Alright, so here's all of our scrolls.
How may I serve you?
What services do you offer? I can sell you various divine spell scrolls. They're quite useful, even if you don't have anyone in your party who can read them. While you're in the settlement, or indeed any place with a cleric willing to help you, you need only open your bag and choose the scroll you wish to cast. I'll be happy to read it for you. However, take care out there in the wilderness. A scroll is useless without someone who can read it. To use a scroll on your journeys, you'll need a spellcaster whose magical training covers such spells, or someone skilled in magical devices. Well, tell me about the visions that led you to the Temple of the Elk.
That's why I'm here.
What do you want from me?
Find the Temple of the Elk. I've pieced together its location from what I can remember of my visions. I have a rough idea of where to look for the sanctuary, somewhere in the North Nile marshes. However, I don't possess the strength to walk this path myself. Do not reject my plea, good traveler, and I'll repay you as best I can. In these dark times, people rarely help each other without compensation. May Erastil forgive us all. But I am sure my healing abilities will be useful to you.
Okay.
How may I serve you? That's why I'm here.
Alright, why do you need to find this temple?
What is there to understand? The gods do not send us visions for no reason. We must go to the temple. Then I believe we shall discover the true meaning and wisdom of Erastil's will. As you wish.
Okay, tell me about yourself, Jhod.
What exactly would you like to know?
Tell me about your past.
My story? Why not? You deserve to know it. I am a priest of Erastil, and Galt is my homeland. You can imagine what it's like following the teachings of the stag god in a realm torn by discord and strife. Rebellion and suspicion are the pillars of Galt. Led by Erastil, I tried to guide my flock to embrace tranquility and balance and guard them from hasty judgment, until I fell from grace myself. Foolish, foolish old Jhod.
Oh, Jhod. You call him Jhod.
My misdeeds cast a shadow over my life and service. In search of redemption and a balm for my soul, I took to the road. I had come nearly to despair when Erastil sent me a vision of the Temple of the Elk. I knew that very moment that the stag god had shown me the way to redemption.
And what did you do to anger Erastil?
Well, if you truly wish to know, I'll have to start from a long time back. Werewolves preyed upon the lands around my village. They murdered people for fun or sport and left the corpses to rot on the roads. One night, they broke into a young woman's house and dragged her into the streets.
Sorry if y'all heard any background noise there. My dog barked for no reason, and then also I was adjusting in my chair, so.
One evening, a traveler came to our tavern, tattered and dirty from days on the road, like so many others roaming Galt. He sat quietly in the corner of the tavern, drinking cheap ale, and in an instant, I knew he was a werewolf. I felt it in my soul. It was like Erastil himself had whispered it into my ear.
Jhod smiles, but his eyes are dead as stones.
Led by Providence, I left to gather my flock, and we surrounded the tavern. The retribution was swift. However, I was tragically mistaken. The young man was no werewolf. He was a bandit, sent to spy on the village by one of the local gangs. We only found out after, when we went through his things.
Well, you should have stayed your hand and discovered the truth before you acted.
Indeed. I remind myself of this every day when I awaken, and again when I go to sleep. I, who admonished my fellow citizens for the chaos they spread and the transgressions they made. But then I, myself...
Jhod frowns.
Whatever the case, I knew Erastil was no longer pleased with me. It was terrifying.
Jhod's voice wavers. Even now, one can glimpse inside him the remnants of the horror he lived through.
Imagine how my mind raced when here in the Stolen Lands I heard the voice of the stag god once again. He gave me another chance at service to atone for my guilt. Now I have regained hope, and that very hope is my most precious possession.
What can you tell me about your homeland, Galt?
For some, it is a land of freedom, where power belongs to the people, not to lords or kings. For others, it's a land of never-ending revolution, a realm surrendered to anarchy. It depends on who you ask. For me, I found Galt a violent place. Crowds eager to lynch a stranger for that accent or appearance, where a single word uttered at the wrong time or place can spark the people to riot and cities to burn. For me, it is a place inhabited by the frightened and the desperate, always suspicious, watchful of trickery. All too often they are deaf to the voice of reason. They cannot grasp that chaos and lawlessness lead only to yet more chaos and lawlessness. All my life I've tried to break through to these poor people, but alas, I don't seem to have made much progress.
Jhod is visibly upset and grows silent for a while. I don't remember this being voice acted last time. It may have been. Tell me about Erastil.
Of course. It would be my pleasure. Erastil is one of the eldest gods of Golarion. His faith emerged when the first people appeared upon the land. Erastil helped our ancestors cultivate the land and hunt. Even now, his blessing lies with those who uphold the old traditions and keep to simpler ways, far from civilization and the noise of the city.
Well, wait a moment. Cities have their strengths as well, don't they? Civilization fosters science, trade, and invention. And in that it often improves life for us all. For all of us. Gosh.
Tell that to the peasant robbed of all he owns, spending his night in the gutter, hoping to live to see the sunrise. You won't see such things in a village.
Jhod mournfully shakes his head. Well, yeah, I don't see any point in arguing. I'll concede to him. Well, you do have a point. Indeed, cities can be places of evil and wrongdoing. See, I think this is a good answer because it's also indicating that it can be a place of good as well. Cities can be a place of evil, can be a place of good. So
I'm glad to hear you agree. These days, many are deaf to the wisdom of generations.
What does Aristotle demand of his faithful?
The word demand does not befit the stag god. Honesty and friendship, loving families, merry weddings, and newborn children in their mother's arms, they bring a smile to Erastil's face. He loves his people and rewards them with fortunate hunts and plentiful harvests. But he has no temper for sloth and vanity. He never bestows gifts upon his faithful without first measuring their worthiness. We ourselves must win our daily bread, but the stag god comes to our aid in times of need and strife.
Well, I've always had respect for Aristotle and his priests.
I see it more clearly every day. Erastil himself led me to meet you. Your keen spirit will serve you well.
A smile lights up Jhod's face. All right.
I am happy. I am always glad to speak of the stag god. The word demand. Tell that to the peasant. Rob. The word demand. I am happy. I am
Is that everything?
Always glad to speak. The word demand does not befit. Tell that to the pet. Tell that to the peasant. The word demand.
Okay, I guess that's everything. We'll talk later. All right, Jaethal, where you at? We have words to share. Jaethal greets you with a nod. Speak. I'd like to hear your story. Stories. Jaethal shrugs. Stories are boring and a waste of time. I have killed. I was exiled from Keonan. I died. I was raised by Urgathoa's gift. That is my story. Who were you before your exile? It's rather amusing. I belonged to a wealthy family and held a high position in the courts of Iadara, the capital of Keonan. When my little wrongdoings were revealed, the trial was held in the very same court where I tried cases and delivered sentences. Over several hundred years. An awkward situation, don't you think? Who did you kill and why? Family. 4. Jaethal's voice is calm and ordinary, as if she's speaking of something trivial. But why is the more interesting question. What is the worth of 1,000 years if you cannot enjoy it like your first 10 dozen springs? The elf's voice sounds unusually vehement. Oh my gosh, I have so much trouble with that word. Vehement. Everyone considers elves ever young, but our youthfulness is but a mask. A threadbare ritual gown. What lies underneath? The dust of years and jaded repetition? With each year the dust grows thicker, and erstwhile joys cease to excite and cloy, as a dish you've tasted 1,000 times. Long did I search for a way to avert this fate. Don't I, who has truly tasted life, deserve a better lot than those benumbed old elves who close themselves to the world? I found a way in the ancient texts of Urgathoa, a ritual involving the blood of my kin. A trifle that would make each day feel as a holiday, created specially for me. The ritual gave strength not only to my body, but to my mind and my soul. In my mind whirled at every sensation, each sip of wine or silken caress. Oh, how I miss this. My cousin was the first I used for the ritual. It was a simple matter to pass her death as an unfortunate accident. But the enchantment would not last. I had to find another, and again conceal my trail. With the third death, my family grew suspicious, and upon the fourth, my deeds were finally revealed. Such a pity. If not for this, my own life even now would overflow with burning pleasure, for I have dozens of useless relatives. Yeah, I am not one to judge you for your past deeds. Fair. Judge me for my present form, and better yet, for the benefits we can provide each other. Do you have family in Keonan? Anyone who is dear to you? Do you mean someone I would hesitate to sacrifice? Perhaps my daughter. I would regret the wasted effort. The creature turned out quite well, like a properly trained dog, or a well-managed horse. Is exile your only punishment for murder? For an elf, Jaethal says pointedly, exile is a serious punishment. There's no other Kionin in this world. Even I, who despises its hypocrisy, must admit as much. How did you die, and what happened after? Jaethal frowns. I don't remember my death. I was stunned by the sentence of exile, and I admit I showed weakness. I wandered aimless, absorbed in despair, without concern for my safety or sustenance. And then, I remember desolate rocks, a stone I lay upon, a convulsion, passing not only through my whole body, but through my soul. Then I awakened. Cold, calm, my body overwhelmed with strength, but haunted by a strange internal silence. There were bloody prints of boned feet on the stone next to me, the sign of the goddess. A battle scythe lay nearby. That was the first and last time I heard Urgathoa's voice. She spoke but 3 words. Hail the Inquisitor. That is all. She has neither addressed me nor answered my pleas ever since. I'll not bother you with the story of how I tried to comprehend my new condition. Soon I had a chance to put my new powers to the test. A group of my kin had tracked me through the woods. They were insolent, and would pay dearly for this. But I had to reckon how I might free myself from their persistent chase. A powerful protector from among the short-lived could help me, and the Sword Lord seemed suitable. That is all. Well, tell me about your birthplace. I hope you do not ask from idle curiosity. Kionin is the birthplace of the elves. The other races are allowed to visit within reasonable limits. Usually, only as far as Greengold. That is the enclave for half-breeds and the short-lived, a whim of our queen. I enjoyed going there sometimes, as to a wild beast show. Beyond this caricature of a city, Kionin is a mixture of grandeur and the sad remains of ancient glory. Next to today's graceful dwellings lie the ruins of ancient monuments and fountains. Elves prefer to live in small groups in secluded settlements. The most outgoing and ambitious live in the capital, Ayadara. Daily life is filled with the efforts of hundred-year-old infants seeking worthy goals, and 1,000-year-old stony cynics entertaining themselves howsoever they can. That is all. It's scarcely worth mentioning that even this gloom is far more tempting than anything one finds in the lands of the short-lived. Alright, enough talk about your past. What's it like to be undead? Do you wish to know what it means to me personally, or what powers and limitations it imposes? Well, do you regret not being alive anymore? A shadow passes over Jaethal's face. You surely know how to ask questions. She says nothing for a long time. 2 desires led me through life. To feel pleasure time and time again, and to achieve perfection. She's very much a dark elf and or a dark Eldar from Warhammer. Yeah, anyway. Unlife brought me closer to the second. I am changeless, torn from time. The chaos of the world, and even the soul circle have no power over me. But everything comes with a price. Most things that brought me pleasure in life are meaningless to me now. How can I decide which is better? Well, there's no purpose in living only for yourself. It makes life and unlife equally senseless. Jaethal yawns pointedly. Agreed. There we go. How do healing spells, prayers, and potions affect you? Dreadfully, of course. You healers had better stay away from me in battle. The undead are healed through interaction with negative energy, and I can perfectly manage that on my own. You don't need to sleep, right? I am spared from that bothersome need, but I hope you do not take this as a reason to invent additional responsibilities to entertain me during the night. I spend this time meditating and addressing the goddess. What about, carnal pleasures? A tactless and facile question. That pleasure is now as senseless to me as food or wine. Action without feeling. Jaethal cringes. Well, thank you. No more questions. Tell me about your goddess. It might sound strange, but I know less than others about Urgathoa and her faith. My transformation to her Inquisitor was unexpected, but I will answer to the best of my knowledge. Why is the cult of Urgathoa forbidden in much of Golarion? Because Golarion is plagued by narrow-minded cowards. Some tremble at the freedom granted by Urgathoa. Others fear the wrath of Pharasma and her priests. What do you know of Urgathoa herself? Oh, certainly. Urgathoa was once a mortal woman, basking in life and all the pleasures it had to offer. Her passion was so strong that Urgathoa rebelled against Pharasma, against death itself and its laws. After her own death, she escaped the power of the Lady of Graves and returned to the world as a goddess, and the first undead. Since then, she has protected all who submit their souls to pleasure and passion, paying no heed to worn-out mortals or morals and the dictates of law. What does it mean to be an Inquisitor of Urgathoa? This question is more complicated than it seems. An Inquisitor is by nature the most zealous defender of their faith, the hand of their goddess in mundane affairs. When I received this title and power, I expected that Urgathoa would tell me my mission, but this never happened. The goddess remained silent. There's only one reasonable explanation I can imagine. Discovering what's expected of me is part of my mission. So I reflect on this, make my prayers, and wait for a sign. Does Urgathoa feud with the other gods? Not Urgathoa, but Pharasma still tries to call her to order, and Serenre to heal her. Jaethal laughs at the absurdity. What does Urgathoa require of her followers? To enjoy, to taste exquisite dishes, to feel the lover's caress, and drink the enemy's suffering. A wonderful religious obligation, isn't it? Okay, what made you follow me? Curiosity, the need for a reliable ally. You see, I must come to understand what my goddess seeks from me. Urgathoa gave me the powers of Inquisitor without declaring her will to me. I await her reply, any hint or trace or clue, and I suppose our meeting was no mere accident. Besides, Jaethal cringes. I imagine that several Kionan assassins will pursue me. They never risked attacking me while I was under the patronage of the Outdoory. They are unlikely to attack while I have reliable allies like you. But why do these assassins follow you? I don't know. They can't have been sent by the Queen. I am branded outlaw, but my punishment was exile, and it is not custom for elves to contravene their own verdicts. My attackers shouted something about threat and blood. I suppose they are a splinter group of feeble-minded zealots, or someone on a quest for personal revenge. Okay, well thank you for the conversation, and farewell. Alright, so that's Jaethal, our Dark Eldar compatriot. Now we head west. Actually, I don't think that the Temple of the Helk was ever revealed to us, was it? Do I have to go here first? Or can I find...
Adventures can wait.
So my plan was to go to the Temple of the Elk next. But I don't remember where it's at. Maybe you have to... Because it showed up on the map for me.
Gather all strength.
I think I found it through the abandoned... Let's go to the abandoned hut first. That might lead us to the, let's get to the abandoned hut, then we'll rest. Because maybe this reveals the Temple of the Elk to us. Because that's where I want to go next, is the Temple of the Elk. Before I go to the Sycamore Caves.
I'm off.
Guardian of the Bloom. You're here. Please follow me. Alright, well let me loot first. Father, please. I'll look for the herbs you asked for. There just weren't enough to... Silence. Did you forget the rules? You speak when I say. You do as I say. Disobedience? Okay. But Father, 3 times. Enough. I can't. Enough. Disobedience leads to punishment, and you have disobeyed twice. There we go. The staircase decayed and collapsed long ago. It can't be climbed. Rotten wooden racks, long ago used for drying herbs.
Interesting.
Potion of Enlarged Person. It's a good potion to have. Oh boy, a
I'm
wolf.
there.
Hey
Give
Valerie,
me
get up here.
Let
You
us
cannot
strike as
stand
one.
against me.
Do not falter.
Oh, there's more than one.
Serves you right.
Alright, it's almost down. Good job, Amiri. Bushes grow in the well, a clear sign that it was abandoned long ago. Nugra's old notes. In early spring, Willow's leaves are the same color as her eyes. His too. I barely hold myself from burning them out with acid. It is his fault. Despicable. Weak. If it was not for him, she would still be alive. Does not talk to me. Looks away. Plan something. I know. I know. I have to gather forest herbs and make a hiding place. Hide my charms. He is a coward, but he can steal and run away. I'll punch it out of him. Everything hurts. I can barely walk. How could he? How? He would never bring himself to confront me on his own. He says his name is now Staglord. He says he would not let me die or let me go. He says I should not be calling him my son, like I ever did. He told me to pack my things. We were leaving soon. He now has his people in his own fortress. I'm hiding the charms in the herb cache. I probably should not. I will not be able to escape. He would not let me.
In due time.
This requires your attention.
Ancient Rosslandic coin. Alright, let's go up here. Where have you been? I told you to prepare everything for the ritual. You will never give me orders again. What? Well then, summon your power. Or maybe you'd like to try the acid. I'm not your slave any longer. Not your toy. Your boy toy. Not your son. Enough. I won't kill you. Your powers will be of use to me. From now on, you do as I say. You speak when I say. Disobedience, something about punishment. We'll read it down here. Disobedience leads to punishment. Always. A small deserted timber shed. Is this locked? Let's quick save before we find out.
Anything else?
Oh, look, a Masterwork Earthbreaker. Okay.
Follow if you
I
dare.
have been waiting for you. The flowers, birds, and wind told me you would come. Oh, my poor flowers. They will perish before long in this bog.
It seems that only you can see or hear the nymph.
Be warned. Unknown voices whispering to you from nowhere rarely have your best interests in mind.
I had a strange vision. Yeah, tell me about yourself. I'd like to know more about my ally.
Do you really wish to know? Fine. I'll tell you a fairy tale. Once upon a time, there lived a young nymph. She lived in an enchanted forest, where 1,000 birds sung day and night, where the sun often left a spark or two hanging in the tree crowns, and where the starlight fell on sleepy glades like a glowing soft haze. The young nymph loved simple things, like sitting by the stream with her friends, braiding each other's hair and adorning their braids with crystals made of dew, or watching the flowers blooming. But inside her soul, the young nymph dreamed of something more.
The nymph's voice is quiet but clear. As you hear it, you seem to sense the aroma of the forest glades, washed with the morning dew, mixing with the odor of spring meadows aflood with blooms.
Oh, dreams. Nothing in any world can live without them. Even a seed that falls in fertile soil cannot sprout without the dream of the sun. The same was true for our nymph. She wished to turn her enchanted forest into a true fairy tale kingdom and fill it with thousands of wonders. But plans so ambitious rarely go unnoticed by greater powers.
New notes creep into the aroma of the forest and meadow. Now you smell a storm coming.
Those greater powers decided to punish the nymph for her boldness. They sent a horrible monster to poison the enchanted forest and kill the singing birds. The nymph was forced to flee, and finally she found shelter here in the stolen lands. Here she hoped to sprout the seeds of a new dream, even as she mourned the dream she'd lost. But then the magic mist appeared, killing everything that lived. And the nymph cast about, desperately searching for help. So far, these are the fairy tale's final words. But I hope this is not the end just yet.
Would you be willing to share the details of your story? About these evil powers, the enchanted forest, the monster?
One day, perhaps. Perhaps I will tell you more. But it doesn't matter now. We need to concentrate on the problems at our doorstep. The Stag Lord, the Druid, the Mist.
I had a strange vision. A young man and an old druid who tortured him. Then they exchanged roles.
Yes, yes. The soil, water, and stones here are infused with toxic pain and fear. They poison this place as we speak. You have seen where your enemy's journey began. The one called Stag Lord was once the victim of a cruel madman, and has since become one himself. You see now how monsters are born. But what comes of regret for a thing you cannot change? There is no time to be lost. We must do away with the fog quickly.
Tell me what to do next.
Search the area around the hut. Try to find anything that remained of the druid who lived here. I am sure the fog is his doing. This suffocating veil is as vicious as his nature. We should learn more about the fog and the ritual through which it was created. Return to me if you find anything. The past may hide the answers that shape the future.
Alright, well, I'll return later. Farewell.
I will be waiting.
The nymph whispers. Alright, let's continue looting, pillaging, plundering.
I see something.
I'm there.
Some more treasure.
Would you look at that?
Nagra's lost note. I went to the temple, to the old temple of the Elk again today. Wicked, gloomy place, just like my soul. It used to shine once, and it is hollow and horrible now. Did he spy on me? Maybe I should lock him up. No, let him be. What can he do, the useless coward? Just whimper and hide. Yeah, seems like a good idea.
Come again. Did you find something?
Okay, found the druid's notes. They mention a temple of the Elk. Can this help us?
An ancient temple. The temple of the stag god. Yes, yes, that must be it. The place of power where the druid created the fog. Perhaps we'll be able to cleanse it from there. The temple hides in the thicket not far from here. You'll need to go there and purge the place of whatever evil still lingers there, summoned by the druid's sinister ritual. Take care. You are my only hope.
Alright, I have a clear goal now. I'll continue my journey. I think you can go into the... Alright, let's do it this way. Good job, Amiri. Is there nothing in this darn chest? Well, that's disappointing.
I do what I must.
I thought you could come back here. I thought there was loot back here. A wooden house, time-worn and apparently deserted.
I'm off.
I thought there was another loot thing. I'm surprised the chest didn't have anything in it. The stone altar is decorated with an eroded foliage pattern and symbols of green faith. Is there really nothing in here? That's weird. I swore there was something else here you could grab, but I guess not. I feel like we got everything. Alright, let's exit the map. Next episode, I might go back to the Fangberry Cave off camera. Oh, it was just further south. Or what I might do is go to the Temple of the Elk at the beginning of next episode, and then go back to the Fangberry Cave so we can return to Oleg's trading post. Now we'll see. I'll probably head to the Temple of the Elk, then we'll head south to Tuskgutter's lair. I really want to get this knocked out because we're not too far from leveling up again. Anyway, I'm going to call the episode here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next episode.